Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Constitutional Considerations here on Tactical Review. As you can see by the lack of a split screen, I am solo this week. Elias informed me last week that he wouldn't be able to join us for the next couple of weeks. So probably if you're looking for intelligent conversation, you're not going to get it. So no, I'm kidding. Thank you for joining. I see I've got 4 people tuned in already. And I see Brownies and Randall and Riemann, some of my regulars. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's the community that makes this great. And I've just been really blessed over this last nearly year and a half. And speaking of which, I noticed that, man, you guys have driven subscribership by like 50% just in the last couple of months. So that's awesome. We are about just over 100 subs away from the next level of giveaway that I've promised you guys. So can't wait for that. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are getting excited too. So as we're giving folks a few minutes to get tuned in, I know there's some other streams wrapping up and whatnot. I just kind of wanted to take a moment and express my frustration about the media. Mostly mainstream, but just kind of in general. I feel like, no, I'm confident that we have more data available to us than at any other point in history. And yet I can't help but feel that I trust all of it less than I ever have in my life. Well, Randall, we've got some coming up, so hopefully you see your name on the winners list. Anyway, what my plan for this evening's discussion was, and has been for the last several days, you're going to notice that this doesn't match tonight's title. But I'd wanted to talk about the Seattle Autonomous Zone, as I thought I had looked more into it over the course of this last week. It seemed like good fodder, and I had some witty comments and some great ideas, and as I started looking into it even more, I see that as of this past weekend, the protest organizers have renamed it it's the CHOP, the Capitol Hill Occupied Protest or something like that. And every article I read, it was either like far left, this is a utopia, or far right, this is a communist takeover. And anyway, so I finally remembered that I have a friend, at very least an acquaintance, who lives in Seattle. So I spent the afternoon texting back and forth with him to get his take on the Chaz or CHOP or whatever. And anyway, scroll back through this conversation, and here we go. Hey, he says he's driven by it several times. He has to go past that area to get to his doctor's office. And let's see for one thing, he said he doesn't think that it's a great idea, in spite of his 100% support for police reform, which Elias and I talked about that. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I guess I should go on record as saying that ideologically, this friend and I are far separated, I think. He tends to lean moderately, if not far left, and I'm pretty far right-leaning. You guys have figured that out, I think. So anyhow, but he said it's weird, but it's not an anarchist riot. Those blocks in the Capitol Hill area are no more or less chaotic than they are on an ordinary day. Some of the protesters want to become rioters and want to cause violence, and some of them work against the other ones. And all that to say, it's a pretty far cry from what we keep seeing in the media, or what I keep seeing in my Facebook feed in the media, or from the media, which, as we've noticed, a lot of times you have what he says and then what she says, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. So, well, come to find out, I think that the title of tonight's stream may turn out to have been unintentionally clickbaity. So if you guys are following the channel on social media, and I personally feel like you should, but you don't have to, you guys would have seen this morning that I shared I reposted from Men of Arms, We Are MOA, and it in turn was screen caps of a tweet from Representative Matt, I knew I was going to forget his name, one moment, Congressman Matt Gaetz. And he was saying that he, in conjunction with several other Congress members, had sent a very strongly worded letter to the ATF to knock off secret rulings, secret legislation. And again, the ATF is not a legislative body, but anyway, secret legislation concerning pistol braces, which has set the 2A community aflame with this thought that he had gotten wind of a potential ban in the works. So I'm gonna actually quote some things here in a minute, and hopefully you guys can see where I came to the conclusion that I did, that sharing what I saw in the manner that I did was the right answer. So anyway, see that we've got Ninja Scout has joined us, and yes, Ninja, I agree, they're stupid. I fully support the hashtag defund the ATF. They're an unconstitutional law enforcement body that in turn is getting power hungry and wanting to rule by fiat as opposed to simply enforcing laws that are on the books. Correct, poor conservative, welcome for one thing, and yes, making law without representation, which a couple hundred years ago I feel like was a pretty big deal, and it was in fact taxation. Right, so let me start actually reading some quotes and dropping some links for you guys. Again, I don't know how much you guys have seen or heard of this through the course of your day. And obviously, I was making statements clear back when the ATF sent those, reclassified the Foztec Origin SBV and the Franklin Armory Reformation. The ATF just out of nowhere reclassified two firearms that they had previously okayed for sale on the US market, and just instantly made it to where an owner of those couldn't legally use them, couldn't legally sell them, could do nothing but sit on them. Franklin Armory and Foztec both really went above and beyond with an offer to buy back those firearms, which was allowable by the ATF, but it was garbage that even needed to happen. And when I talked about that, if you guys weren't following the channel at the time or didn't catch those streams, I mentioned that if that was left to stand unchallenged, that pistol braces and binary triggers at the least would be on the chopping block next. So it didn't ring untrue for me to defend my sharing of that. So yeah, A-dubs, welcome. And yeah, there is something about the consent of the governed, and with something like 1/3 to 1/2 of Americans being responsible gun owners, I feel like we have a healthy basis to give or not give our consent. So before we get a whole lot more into this, I may have poked the bear today. Maybe. I did tag ATF HQ in the post that I made. So hopefully there's not a lot of hornets swirling around at this juncture. I'm going to say that the answer right now is not to start blowing up the ATF phone lines and filling their mailbox. And I will come back to why I think that that's not the right answer. I do recommend that you make sure to reach out to your federal Congress people and representatives, and just make sure to voice once again that you, as their constituent, stand against any further infringement on your Second Amendment rights, including magazine capacity discussion, accessories, or any firearm. And just that gives you one more point of contact up the food chain without needlessly poking the bear. So let me pull up these tabs that I've got, and when I saw this morning, well, for one thing, when I first saw the link to Congressman Gatz's press release, or it was actually on his podcast, if I remember correctly. So I will first start by dropping the link to his page. This is his official, I mean, it's at house.gov, so it's his official representative page. And it starts off with Congressman Matt Gaetz announced today on his podcast the ATF is crafting secret rules restricting the possession of certain pistol braces by American citizens, and that he has sent them a letter demanding they stop. And he goes on to say that the ATF is currently considering restricting one arm brace model owned by over 700,000 Americans. So I don't want to go on record in any way naming names. It appears that it would be a singular model, and my guess would be that it would be the most commonly sold adjustable pistol brace. So if you think to the pistol variants of rifle pattern firearms, whether it's like my AKV, there's a good example, or the CZ Scorpion, multiple different pistol length AR configurations, all of them with an adjustable brace. Typically there's one make and model that's the factory option on those. My guess would be that that would be the model in question. Again, though, that is never clarified, and so I don't need to be, actively giving a make and model, and somehow that gets twisted and taken as gospel. That'd be just my luck. That'd be my first brush with our mainstream media, is being quoted with something that I have to issue a retraction for when it wasn't what I actually said. So anyway, Congressman Gatz, he said that he's sending a letter to the Department of Justice asking for a review of the decisions made by the ATF, and asking that the ATF stop in this crazy effort to limit access to arm braces. So again, based on that wording, and you guys can go ahead and tell me in the chat, or if you're watching this later in the comments, if you think that I have misread that, but that to me sounds like there's new information. So that being said, the answer to that is spread it far and wide before there's another bump stock situation. One is too many and will lead to them. Yeah. The poor conservative, that's right. And I just question why they would go after a single make or a single model. A single make, I could absolutely see them going after the biggest name in the market segment to shut them down. And we're going to talk that name here in a little bit, because I do have some quotes from them from other sources. I could see them more realistically saying that any model, or forbidding any model that would mount on a standard AR-15 receiver extension, where they would all have to be designed to use a set screw on a smooth extension or something to that effect, or they would have to use, they could be adjustable, but they have to use a proprietary. It could be standard, but it not standard with mil spec or standard with commercial spec. Because I could see them saying, I don't agree, but I could see them saying that by using a standard mil-spec buffer tube, these pistols are entirely too easy to be converted into a short barrel rifle. I think that's ridiculous anyway. Where did this 16-inch arbitrary barrel length come from? Why? Objectively speaking, from the characteristics, the ballistic characteristics that you look at in a rifle cartridge, a shorter barrel rifle is less effective. Now, we all know that it's more maneuverable in and around structures. That makes it a fantastic home defense weapon. Furthermore, even if your barrel is long enough to give you good terminal ballistics inside of, say, 50 yards, once you start trying to put legs on that cartridge at 100 or 200, you no longer have the effectiveness that you would out of, say, a 16-inch carbine or a 20-inch rifle or longer. So in many respects, ballistically speaking, they should be doing away with SBR laws entirely and incentivizing people to go for short barrel rifles, because it makes more sense. Yeah, no, it doesn't make more sense. Well, it does. When you understand human performance and whatnot, yeah, it makes more sense. When you understand terminal ballistics, you're looking at creating a firearm that is less effective at range. That just makes sense. But nothing about the NFA actually actively makes sense. Anyway, silencers. That should be a health and safety. They should almost, I would rather see them require that you purchase a suppressor with a firearm. Although I don't like mandates, so I don't like that either, but you guys know what I'm saying. So, anyway, Ninja, before you let your blood pressure get too elevated, though, let me dig a little bit more into this. Guns and Gadgets did a video this afternoon, and Rob Ski did a video earlier today. Both of them have not gotten any kind of comment from DC on this. This is all based on Representative Gatz's podcast. And again, given the source and given what we've seen happen by executive order, it looked bleak. So let's dig into maybe why this is less bleak than what even I thought even 2 hours ago. So let's first try to figure out which order I want to give these links to. Here we go. Let's start with this article this afternoon from the Firearm blog. Drop that down here for you guys. And down near the bottom, we do have a comment from Alex Bosco, who is the CEO of SB Tactical. If you don't know, SB Tactical is about the 800-pound gorilla in the pistol brace space. There are other braces out there. Some of them are better in a certain genre. But as far as if you have used a pistol brace, there's a very good chance it was either a CAC Shockwave or one of SB Tactical's many different models. So anyway, here's what Alex had to say. Although this may seem alarming, it is in fact nothing new. Since 2015, SB Tactical has been actively engaged in discussion with the ATF and working tirelessly to encourage them to provide clear and public guidance regarding what constitutes a brace and the standards by which braces are measured. Request for clarification. At this time, we are unaware of any plans by the ATF to make any announcements regarding pistol stabilizing braces. We're grateful that Congressman Matt Gaetz, Bill Posey, John Rutherford, Daniel Webster, Neil P. Dunn, W. Gregory Stuba, and Ted S. Yoho are committed to protecting the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. So very likely, if there was something in the works, if it was very close to becoming a public announcement, fiat or not, SB Tactical would have been, they would have already received some sort of cease and desist. So evidently, this is in fact not anything new happening. So the question then becomes, well, why did Matt Gaetz mention this in a recent podcast? Why did this come forward like it was new information? And in order to address that, let me drop to you, number one, Military Arms Channel, or Tim's comment about this on his Facebook page. So it was slightly scathing towards the fear-mongering of some influencers, reporters, advocates, whatever you want to call us within the 2A community. And unfortunately, this probably includes me. So he's got a very good long article there, and then he in turn links this article from The Truth About Guns. Drop this link for you guys, and I think I just, oh Lord, hang on, let me give you guys a cleaner link. That was garbage. I hate links that come from Facebook. They've got all that extra garbage on them, and that are 19 lines long. There you guys go. So we'll scroll down. Once again, there is the quote from Alex Bosco from SB Tactical. Has a few different snippets from Congressman Gatz. And you can, of course, give the entire podcast a listen if you'd like to do that. But then he goes down here to what changed that led Representative Gatz to publish the notice. Congress has taken notice. They're looking into the ATF's practice of arbitrarily, suddenly, and secretly, insofar as they make no public mention and give no opportunity for public comment, creating and changing firearms regulations, and then attempting to prosecute based on those rules. And then they give a for instance, and this one is one that you have seen on one of my recent videos as I was working with that U.S. machine gun side fold adapter. And that is the 13.5-inch length of pole maximum. Nobody knew that was a thing. And then a guy gets prosecuted for it. So Congress is doing a deep dive. Now, the good news is, what should come from this is a more transparent working of the ATF, which when we have a wholly unconstitutional law enforcement organization that exists just to infringe our rights that shall not be infringed, if it's going to be considered a necessary evil, and I don't, but if, we're going to give it that if it's a necessary evil, then it needs to be completely transparent. And we don't have that right now. So, the good news is we may at least get that, even if we don't fully get rid of the ATF. The bad news, in their becoming transparent, they may lock down some things. So what's that mean for us? Well, maybe that on again, off again love relationship that we have with being able to shoulder a pistol brace goes away. I don't know. You guys have been awful quiet in the chat for a few minutes, so what are you guys' thoughts on this? I mean, are we looking at a loss of pistol braces? Are we looking at a situation, where they start requiring a proof of a disability claim, since they were in fact originally released as a handicap accessibility item? If they do attempt to require a certificate of disability, is that a discrimination claim in the process? I don't know. What do you guys think? See, anytime Matt comes out against other channels fear-mongering, I just remind him of the big Instagram spoof that he helped push with that Whiskey Warrior. That's a good point. And I'll tell you guys what, I actually was going to make that a subject of a live stream until I got looking into it. And, in Poor Conservative, I know that you are a content creator yourself. It's an interesting position to be in, that you want to generate fresh content and relevant content, so that requires to a degree being at the front edge, not at the back edge. On the other hand, if you don't have solid first sources, you can very quickly end up in a situation where you are unintentionally fear-mongering. So, and I know you guys know that. I've got some really smart viewers in the audience, which is why I don't understand why you guys pay attention to me. So, we're full circle here. I am right back to right now, I don't know that blowing up the ATF phone lines and filling up their mailbox is the right response to this information. As always in the 2A community, the constant answer is semper vigilantes, always be vigilant. And definitely reach out to your representatives and your congressmen and who do represent you in the Senate. I mean, I don't know, why do we have senators and representatives when they're all elected whatever. Anyhow, I know you guys have in the past. I don't have an easy action link for this yet. Second Amendment Foundation, Firearm Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, none of them have dropped any kind of action link to this. So you're going to have to reach out on your own to your representatives and let them know, once again, how you feel about this particular situation, how you feel about the ATF. I mean, very honestly, I fail to see what good they actually do. I mean, if we can get a quick recap, they stormed a compound and burned children alive. That was a thing they did. They actively trafficked firearms to Mexican drug cartels. That was a thing they did. And they passed laws that by a pin stroke turn a law-abiding citizen into a felon just to have something to do. What good comes from this organization? Anyway, so that was, honestly, guys, I don't have a ton for this week. Like I said, I was going to talk about the autonomous zone, and new information indicates that it's not what it looked like. Maybe. Not saying it's a good thing, but they've... Actually, what's funny is, because if you guys, once again, if you follow me on social media, you'll see that comment that it was actually a screenshot of a text I shared with Elias that calling that an autonomous zone was quite the misnomer when they were in no way autonomous. And so they changed the name because the lead organizer of the BLM chapter, I guess, in Seattle was like, no, we're not trying to secede from the union. We're just looking to be an instrument of change. So, and once again, you can go back and look at any of several recent live streams and know that I don't in any way disagree that there needs to be some change within the law enforcement community. Apparently more so the larger the city. And yeah, outside the confines of this particular discussion. So guys, I mean, I really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and shout out in the live chat if there is a subject that you were hoping that I had covered this week. There's a good chance that I saw it and at least took a cursory interest in it, because once again, they're my Second Amendment rights just like they're your Second Amendment rights, and it will always behoove us to stay abreast of what's going on. Defund the ATF and legalize all weapons. Yes, that's a protest I will join you at. See, unfortunately though, it'll be a peaceful protest of tens of thousands of heavily armed Americans. There will be no cop cars flipped over. There will be no buildings burned. There will be no privately owned materials stolen, and as such, that will be a terrorist march. So, yeah. The tax money that goes into the ATF could very easily be redistributed to, I don't know, maybe trying to, I don't know, something, anything else. Yeah, bluntly a culmination of Gestapo and KGB. Political police. Riemann, I'd like to disagree with you, but I don't. I can't fathom in a country where firearm legislation is, or excuse me, back up. In a country with a stated right to keep and bear arms, where it is federally mandated that a registration or a registry is illegal, what is the need of such a body? You know, now if California wants to have their own state level bureau to enforce their unconstitutional crap laws, well, I mean, I don't like it, but I think that falls into states' rights. Okay, but at the federal level, how along the way has this not just been looked at and deemed to be a loogie in the eye of the Constitution? Maybe I should do some research into the history, but I'm afraid that my blood pressure would spike out and I'd have a hemorrhage out of the eyes, and then I'd have no channel. So burn down all the AutoZones and the Wendy's in the hood. Yeah, but it's got to be in our hood. Like, you've got to go to the AutoZone or the O'Reilly's that you personally use. That's the only way that such a protest works, right? You've got to cut off your own nose to spite your face. So, anyway, guys, I promise you, I actually have videos recorded and in the works, and it's just been such beautiful weather, and my children actually want to spend time with Dad, so I haven't been being lazy, but as far as the channel goes, I do apologize. I've been a little lazy here in the last few weeks, so I apologize for that. I do have more weekly content on the way. So, and my wonderful Patreon and Subscribe Star supporters will get first view of that stuff. So, appreciate you guys. And like I said, I've got on the way, just as a kind of a teaser, I've got video coming up on my new extra lightweight concealed carry setup. So you've probably seen pictures on social media, but I got some rounds downrange and talked about the replacement magazines that I'm running in that. I have a video coming on the Brownell BRN 180S, speaking of pistol braces and ways that it will impact me personally directly. One of the reasons that I perked right up on this. So, some good stuff in the works for you guys. Speaking of which, glad I said that. It brought me back around to affects me personally. So, once again, I perked right up on this by virtue of the fact that I have 3 rifle pattern pistols, one of which is my home defense firearm. So this caught my attention by virtue of the fact that if by fiat they make my home defense weapon illegal, that goes one further and also nullifies my self-defense insurance. I believe I've talked about before, I'm a USCCA member, and I won't even go through all of the decision-making process that led me to that. But with any of these carry insurances, they have the stipulation, unless they have further restriction, that they provide legal coverage after a self-defense situation using any legally allowable weapon. So I run a .300 Blackout AR pistol as my home defense weapon. I talked about the whys of that in a couple of other videos, and if you're interested, I can get into that now. But let's say that pistol braces are deemed illegal or are restricted for use only by persons with a documented disability, or however they end up doing that. So that passes, and somehow I don't hear about this. Or they do it in a secret back channel, like they did with the length of pole, and the worst thing happens, and I have to defend my family against an armed attacker. And then after the fact, as my firearm is taken as evidence, the ATF swoops in and goes, "Oh, well, you have a pistol brace on that. Sir, are you disabled?" "No." "Well, that's a felony." Now all of a sudden, not only have I just earned a felony, I also have to fight the legal battle on my own because I didn't use a legally allowable weapon. Now, I don't think USCCA would hang me out to dry in a case like that, but by letter of the policy they could. These are just things to keep in mind. And all of that rabbit trail to say, just keep in mind, guys, just because a particular policy or a particular accessory doesn't affect you now doesn't mean that you don't need to be active within the Second Amendment community working towards that. And it's kind of like poor conservative said earlier, that one is too many when talking about what potential model this is. That goes for the wider community as well. One infringement is too many, because look at what happened with 7N6. The community didn't come together as a whole because, oh, it's a niche product and who cares? And so now this affordable and decent AK-74 ammunition is not available to any Americans except what was already in hand, just because it doesn't affect me and it's not my problem. So hang on, guys, I got a link to check out, so see if I'm going to push this through. All right, sign the petition. BC, I'm looking into that, bud. And then I'll share that out for everybody. My internet's being a little slow. It's almost like I'm streaming on it and my kids are watching stuff on, well, not my YouTube channel. They don't care that much. So Brunel, anything would be better. Arm Dave, hey, how you doing? I didn't see you join, and yeah, I feel the same way myself frequently. The walls definitely feel like they are closing in. So Okay, there we go. Got that URL fixed so I can paste that in CB or BC, not CB. Other direction. I'm a little dyslexic. It's late. I don't know where my brain is. Uh 762 by 39 breaks walls. Depends on what they're made of. Did I get that right? Hey BC, that URL is not, it's giving me a 404. Will you copy just the bit after that trailing / and dump that in the chat for me? So when I tried to go to the one that you gave me, like I said, it's giving me a 404. So we'll give that a few minutes, and while I'm waiting on that, just a reminder, you can head over to the Teespring store and get yourself some really fantastic channel merchandise. The most popular design by far is the Tactical Review logo there on the right on your screen, designed by our very own Poor Conservative. It's a fantastic design, good quality shirts. I don't know if they've managed to catch up any, but I will say that all of the print on demand services, every YouTuber I've talked to says that their providers are running a couple weeks behind. So, but if you choose to pick up one of those t-shirts, the channel does get a couple dollars, and you'll get a nice, all of the ones I've gotten have been Hanes. They're a good quality t-shirt, and you'll help support the channel. So still waiting on that actual petition ID there, so I can get that out to you guys. So yeah, I wish I could take credit for that, but once again, I wasn't sure. I've got to be really honest, because I went with the lower cost classic t-shirts as I was setting up my Teespring store. I've not worked with any other print on demand companies. Went with Teespring just because I saw Hank Strange and a couple other creators that I follow use them for some of their stuff, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was a Hanes t-shirt. Hanes, of course, made in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as I recall. So, good American company. And here we go. Let's see if I can get this URL to work. I'm copying it out and back in. That way it can be a clickable link in the chat. So what I wish that Facebook would do is just let people dump links in, and then let moderators simply approve or deny them. But, you know, they can't do that. All right, I'll dump this in, and you guys can take a look at it and sign the petition if you like what you see in there. But that link does work, and yeah. And BC, no, it's fine. on several other channels. I'm not a moderator, so I don't have the right to post links, and I understand the frustration of trying to mangle it enough that YouTube will even let you put it into the chat. So appreciate that, and we'll take a look at that. So hard part of Teespring is having a vector image. Yeah, and not being a graphic designer myself, I've ended up with some missteps. My first the 2A Bullets channel mug. Matter of fact, I like the shirt, but I feel like I should use the heavier line design that I used for the mugs or the coffee cups on the t-shirts, but is what it is. So, and if you have a design that you'd like to donate to the channel, I'd appreciate that, and or whatever, set up your own store. You do you. So guys, we are rolling up on an hour, and I've had a lot of short nights this week. So once again, if there's anything else you guys want to throw in the chat, we'll definitely bring it up for discussion. But I am perfectly happy with not staying up till midnight tonight. So don't know how you guys feel about that. Maybe you will be up anyway. Oh, hey, speaking of staying up late, which makes me think of coffee, not drinking any Defender's coffee tonight, but I did see that they are running a Father's Day promotion. So if you go check out their website, it'll be right up there, or follow them on Instagram. So good opportunity to get Dad some good coffee for Father's Day. The last stuff I ordered came in 2 days. You may be pressing it to get it before Father's Day. But it's great coffee, and every purchase you can choose to support either Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, or Firearms Policy Coalition. So all three great organizations. I am actually a member of all three of those organizations, outside of supporting them through Defender Coffee. So, where are we? Man's box asking when the assault. I do like that, Pale Horse. Again, I would not necessarily start poking the ATF bear on this, but yeah. Start blowing up the president's inbox. Start tagging him on Twitter. Let's do a hashtag campaign. That's a great idea, because we were promised that the 8-year assault on our Second Amendment rights was coming to a crashing halt. And yet we've seen executive orders, we've seen limitations, we've seen proposed limitations. Yeah, it's time to end the assault on weapons. Don't you guys agree? So, that's a great idea. And I've got to say, obviously I'm not voting Joe Biden. Obviously, I don't see Trump as pro-2A. So there's a good chance Jo Jorgensen, her comments on the Second Amendment, they're not just, they aren't as nebulous as the assault on your rights is over. She legitimately is talking, she wants to defund the ATF. So that might earn a write-in from yours truly this November. That remains to be seen. I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm just reminding you that there are other options out there. So, oh, Pale Horse, yes, but you did see that nominee was shut down, right? Gun Owners of America, Firearm Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, and other groups banded together, and that appointment did not go through. So, but yeah, that's a great point. Rabid anti-gunner, let's make him the head of the most unconstitutional pack of dogs that we've got. But the 8-year assault on our rights is over. Yeah. So, no, yeah, a bit of good news there, Pale Horse. So, there we go, guys. I do appreciate you watching. Once again, if you give the follow a channel, little dyslexia for your Wednesday night. Give the channel a follow over on social media. Once again, you will see other news tidbits that may not make it to our Wednesday night live stream. They may be action items, or they may just be for your amusement, but you will see them over on social media. Once again, I appreciate you guys sharing the channel. I would appreciate a thumbs up on the video if you liked it. You can give me a thumbs down if you feel like I just wasted an hour of your Wednesday, I guess. But share the channel if you appreciate it. The growth that I've seen is 100% because of my awesome viewers. That's you guys. And we are 110, 115, I think, subscribers away from the 500 subscriber giveaway. So I'm very excited to be looking at doing that within 4-5 months at the outside of my 250 sub giveaway. It's humbling. You guys are amazing. I could not have asked to end up with a better viewing audience than what I've come up with. So if you guys are in a position and have the desire and would like to support the channel financially, you can do that over on Patreon, or evidently more gun friendly, you can do that over on Subscribestar as well. And yeah, I don't have any tiers set up. You guys can just, what you feel like you can do, what you feel like you'd like to do, you absolutely can do. And if you aren't in a position to do that, I feel that, and that's just 100% fine. I love doing what I do, and yeah, I guess there's just no other way to say that. Yeah, guys, you're amazing. Keep sharing the channel. Keep fighting for your Second Amendment rights, and just remember, whatever you're doing, shoot straight, stay safe.